This place was your rehabilitation.
It was supposed to be my punishment.
It was both.
Rehabilitation versus punishment, a debate as old as time, and a part of the division between Cecil and the heroes who once worked for him. Punishment in this series, as well as in some countries with dozens of states, has been tricky to say the least. I'd argue arbitrary. Cecil's origin story shows a parallel between his own concern for rehabilitating violent offenders and Mark's push for punishment of similar individuals in the show's present day. But Cecil's demeanor begs the question if it's really rehabilitation, or forced labor mixed with manipulation and possibly some brainwashing. Cecil's argument for using Sinclair and other evil individuals with very specific skill sets is that after undergoing treatment enforced by the GDA, Sinclair had made a drastic change to do good, or in this case, for the benefit of the agency. Cecil himself was imprisoned after going against the agency's wishes in killing former villains who themselves had been rehabilitated to utilize as weapons instead of being locked up. If you want to argue that this is or isn't proper punishment for the crimes committed, that's understandable. But what does an alternative system look like in real life? Countries like Norway, who treat their citizens to a highly rated quality of life, also treat their prisoners with humanity, providing themselves akin to dorm rooms and programs to help them become reformed and reduce recidivism. While some criminal justice systems were built on the back of slavery, turned indentured servitude, and often attached to forced labor, in addition to inhumane treatment, having prisoners as property of the government. But what else do you expect from a country whose minimum wage, workforce practices, and healthcare system isn't built to help all the citizens survive or rehabilitate? A place where the leaders see people as tools and numbers rather than humans. Is capital punishment the answer? We know that with superheroes, this is always a no-no. And so far in season 3, it's a hard pill to swallow for Oliver, even with Mark and Debbie drilling him on the fact that all life is precious. Mark himself had a device installed in his brain against his will to control him, a measure put in place for fear of what he could do rather than basing it on what he'd actually done. Even Rudy understands the gravity of what anyone is capable of, and someone as powerful as Invincible is someone who can be capable of the greatest good or the greatest evil. Personally, I think a hybrid model of how punishment and rehabilitation can work in tandem might be a viable solution, just as there's been discourse around the ethical impact of incarcerated individuals putting out fires in real life, for instance. Within the context of the series, Mark's push for the jailing of criminals could be a default response, and just as Norway does, some process to bring about remorse and put some of the offender's consequences in the hands of the loved ones of the victims within some given parameters. Cecil's perspective can be explored as an option. Either an offender can rot away or choose to be trained and do good with their skill sets, being of service to others and having them discover a new purpose.